Friends, I have with me an old friend that I've worked with for years and years at Caroline's Healthcare System Blue Ridge, which used to be Blue Ridge, which I guess always was Atrium Health. It's switched hands, not switched hands, switched affiliations. Her name's Sonya Suttle. Sonya, tell me a little bit about your background and what you're doing now, and then we're going to talk about what the project you started working on.
So I was a nurse at, we'll call it Grace Hospital. We'll leave it at that. Yeah. I was a nurse at Grace Hospital for 20 years. I was there for 24, actually. There was a long time. That's how Tony and I got to know each other. And then I left there. I went back to school and I got my family nurse practitioner, which is a master's. And then I finished my doctorate when I was, I guess, probably about 4 years ago.
I didn't know you're a doctor now. So what, doctor, like a DNP, is that what it's called? What's exactly the degree?
Yeah.
Okay.
A DNP, I have a doctorate in nursing practice. Okay. I did my paper on trying to get technology into the patient portal into our practice, getting patients to use the patient portal, which did not go very well. Patients don't want to use technology; they want face-to-face contact with their providers. So ironically, I'm doing the blog. I don't know, but anyway, so I worked in Happy Valley Medical Center in Lenore for 4 years, and I've been at Heart Family Practice now for almost a year. And so I guess I just really have a heart for patients. I know that I spend a great deal of my time trying to explain things to a patient on their level, and that level is very varied. I know this is Health Literacy Month, and I'm actually going to have a blog about health literacy. But part of what I'm challenged to do, or what I want to do, is to try to get things out there, whether it's basic knowledge about anything, and just to try to break it down onto where the general audience can understand it and digest it and make it meaningful to them, and why they should care about it, I guess.
So what gave you the idea to do a blog to do that? So I mean, I've known a few people that actually do blogs, but I mean, it seems like it'd take a lot of discipline to sit out there. And how often are you posting? Every week, or what's your frequency?
So I usually try to do about 3 times a week. Try to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So far, I try to do it in between work and kids, and I also paint. Part-time. I'm a part-time artist. Well, I call myself an artist. I don't know how much of an artist I really am.
You're good. You're very good.
I throw paint around too. So, I try to do it when I'm sitting there supposedly watching TV and really not catching up on the shows, or watching my Braves play, which they're getting ready to play. Go Braves! But, I just get these ideas, and people ask me about things all the time. Well, what do you think about this? And why does this matter? And so I get this little spring of an idea in my head, and then it turns into madness. And I got to tell somebody about this. I don't know why. I don't know. It just has to come out. It's like a fountain that has to flow.
So I've gone there and I've looked at your posts, or I probably looked at 7 or 8 of them. So you've been doing it for a little while now, and it's all just any kind of topic, from colonoscopies, why you should get them, what they're really about. I saw one on Mediterranean diet. I saw one on cholesterol, so tell the people about the topics you're talking about and why you choose those topics.
So I try to stay broad in general. I try to stay on topics that's going to matter to most of my audience. I try not to get so narrow that I lose my audience. And I try to, make it mostly on topics that's going to matter to probably generally everyone, and most of the people in the Southeast.
Yeah.
And, being in my practice, I see these things over and over and over again. So, eating right, cholesterol. I just put my latest blog is on sleep apnea.
Yep.
That's near and dear to my heart. I've seen family members personally that have struggled with congestive heart failure because sleep apnea goes untreated. I have the patient dialogue in front of me as in primary care. They don't want to admit it. They don't want to talk about it. Oh, that's not me. I do sleep at night. They think because they go to sleep and close their eyes that they're sleeping, but they're not resting. So sleeping and resting are two different things. And so, I just want them to realize that maybe they have a problem, and I want them to go talk to their primary care about it because, unfortunately, all the healthcare money that we have is one pocket of money. And, we're all kind of responsible for that money and taking care of ourselves because we all have to pay regardless, and so, we always kind of have to be good stewards of all the money that we do have, whether it's collected for Medicare, Medicaid, or whatever, because it takes all of us to pay that. I mean, in reality. So, if we can, as a general population, take better care of ourselves now, it's going to be cheaper for the whole population in the future. So.
Now, one of the things I want to say to my people, I encourage you to go over and take a look at Sonya's blog. And Sonya, give me the name of it exactly. I don't have it up on the screen. It's Health for the Wise. Wait, it's got an owl.
Well, it's wellforthewise.com.
Wellforthewise.com.
And I don't know how, I was just looking at things to come up with, and I was like, oh, well, that sounds good. I don't know. I have just make up.
Yeah, it's as good as anything. Yeah, that's great.
Pulled it up out of my hat. I pulled it out of my hat, and I thought, oh, I really like owls, so let's make it wise and owl. And I actually have this little app now that will generate and make a logo for you. Yeah. So anyway, so that's how I did it.
Well,
it's nothing.
And so you got on WordPress. Tell me about the choice of how you get. So I'm going to ask you more about wellness and health and stuff and why you're choosing the topics you are, but I want to know how you got started. So her husband, to say this, her husband was one of my good friends when I worked there, and he was one of the nicest guys in the IT department. Big, tall guy. How tall is Kurt? Is he 6'4", 6'5"?
6'5", 6'6".
6'6". It's huge. He's tall, but he's...
For context, I'm 5'1".
Yeah. It's crazy, and so y'all really make a cool pair. It's like Tower and Todd or something. Anyway, so he was great. He's he was an IT guy that was so cool and so helpful and not snide. And I just thought he was one of the best. A lot of those IT people are know-it-alls. For all of you out there who are, you just are. But he was always really kind of cool and calm but he ended up going in. Is he still in law enforcement?
Yes, he's still a state trooper. Yes, sir.
Ended up deciding he wanted to be a state trooper. Just did a 180 the other way, and but so very cool. But so I got to ask: Did Kurt help you with your decision and how you're going to your format for going on? It's just you.
No, I did it all. The website, bought my name, did the website, did the logo, and then I told him about it.
Yeah, really? And so you're doing all the writing. I see you have sources, but you're not going out and finding somebody's canned info. It's you, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I source a lot from the CDC because, they don't really care if you source from them. They want you to source from them. Yeah. So I source a lot from the CDC. Some of it's just, hard fought knowledge of 20, 30 years of nursing.
Yeah.
But I sourced a lot from the CDC, and I always try to cite my sources, at the bottom, to give people credit for it. But a lot of it's just, I try to stay away from opinions. I don't put opinions in my blogs. It's just facts. It's just hard, cold facts. This is what happens when you do this, and this is what happens when you don't do this. This is what this means. This is what this doesn't mean. And, a lot of the National Institutes of Health and the CDC and all that, they want you to share their information. Yeah. So,
now,
and like I said, what I'm doing is taking that big blop of hard to read information and trying to digest it in the way that Sonya would say it.
That's what I was going to say is it's you inject some of your humor in it and you say it the way a regular human being would say. You get into some technical stuff, but it sounds like you. It sounds like I'm reading something you wrote, and so that's a cool thing to me. It's not dry.
Yeah.
Go.
And that's what my patients tell me. They're like, oh my gosh, they'll say anything. In fact, I had this when I was at Happy Valley. I had these two ladies, and they were discussing something that I had said, and they said, "Do you see Sonya?" And she's like, "Yeah, do you see Sonya?" And they knew it was me because of this little phrase that I had, which I can't share on on this but they knew it was me just because of what I had said. And so I try to, make things very, very, very human when I interact with my patients, and I try to bring that out in my blog. So
Now, let me ask you this, Sonia. For people who don't like to read a lot, and some people don't, they might read a paragraph or something and skim over the rest. Have you thought about adding a vlog to each of your, or a blog, excuse me, vlog, VLOG? In other words, a YouTube video. Have you thought about just taking your webcam and doing what we're doing now and talking a little bit? Maybe you do a 5-minute video about your blog. You can learn more, go here and read it. But I'm just curious because you seem to me like you'd be a natural for YouTube.
Well, I might get somebody that I know to help me with that.
Well,
since he's a natural at that.
I don't know if you can see. I got my buddy Hendrix with me here tonight. So
I see Hendrix.
Anyway,
Well, I had to lock all my 5 dogs up because they would be all over me because I have 5, so they would be all over top of me now if I didn't have them locked up. But yeah, I've talked about it, and actually Kirk did go in and take my little owl into Photoshop, and I don't know, I shared that with you and made it a little owl with headphones and a little microphone. So it's out there. I was just trying to get some more subscribers and see how it went. And, I'm a little country, so I don't know if people want to hear that.
Well, but, I don't think that. Okay, let me tell you, a doctor that I watch, and he's from Knoxville, Tennessee, and he's a guy. He doesn't. He probably wouldn't jive with your Mediterranean diet so much because he's a guy that tries to reverse diabetes. His name's Ken Berry, and he's from Knoxville, has an accent like we do. Of course, he's like you. He's a MD or whatever, and family practitioner. And I like to watch him. You got to go check him out, and you'll see right quick that it doesn't matter what your accent is. He's got millions and millions of subscribers and followers now. And see, that's the kind of thing. What you might do is go in there and say, maybe part of what you do is even critique the other diets or something. If you think one or the other has an advantage over it. But the thing I like, so you're picking topics that are common among your patients, right? That's kind of what you're doing for this area here, which is the Catawba Valley. You're in Hickory.
Yep.
Okay, so this is interesting. So, do you have an inventory? Are you kind of, as these things come to you, or are you building an inventory of what you're going to do next, kind of thing?
So right now I have 3 or 4 in inventory right now. That's loaded, that's getting ready to come out. So I think I've got one coming up on tanning beds.
Yeah.
That's going to really hurt people's feelings. I've got one coming up on salt, like the dangers of salt, like eating salt and what that's doing in the diet. And then I got a couple more. So I just kind of load them, and I try to stay ahead so they're scheduled to come out. They usually schedule to come out about 9:00 at night. So,
wow.
And I just think about, a lot of times when I'm in a patient's room, then something will come up and I'm like, oh man, that'll be a great blog topic. And I'll go write it down so I'll remember it, because if I don't write it down, I'll forget it.
Sonya, for our area around here, kind of give me the top 5 problems you're seeing with people. Whether it's diabetes or whether it's obesity or whether it's, like you mentioned, sleep apnea, or I'm just curious, what do you as a medical professional see prevalent here in this area?
So diabetes has to be in the top 2, diabetes and hypertension. And really diabetes is a product of a lot of the choices we made, and part of that I blame on the food companies, because they have changed the recipes of food so much that what we put into our bodies isn't what we put into our bodies 50 years ago. A Mountain Dew 50 years ago was cane sugar, and now it's high fructose corn syrup, and so, our portions are bigger, they're more unhealthy, and we just can't eat like we did, and we do less manual labor now than what we did 50 years ago. So, diabetes is one. Obesity is rampant in our country. And people don't want to really address diabetes or obesity. Heart disease, high blood pressure, COPD because of smoking, years and years of smoking, and vaping now is a big issue. And I think probably the last one is drug use. Drug use is phenomenal in our county, our tri-county area. And then anxiety, depression. And the depression part goes back to those other health factors. I mean, you're depressed because you can't eat what you want. You're depressed because you can't breathe. You're depressed because your blood pressure. I mean, it's a cycle. And that's part of why I want to do this, is because I want people to realize that, all those things are connected arms on a tree. And so, my goal is to let people see that, what all you put in your body affects those diabetes, affects that blood pressure, affects, the obesity. And then that does get you depressed when you have a heart attack and then you can't get out and do what you used to do, or you have a stroke and you lose the use of one side of your body and you're in a nursing home. So I want people to realize that their health behaviors and their health habits and the things that they do and eat and breathe do really have an effect on their longevity and what happens with their life. Yeah, grandmother may have smoked 50 years of her life and she didn't end up with COPD, but you don't have your grandmother's genes 100%.
Right.
And cigarettes aren't what they were, even 60 years ago. They're more addictive than what they were. So I don't know. My goal is just to get people to see what they're doing to themselves, maybe guilt them a little bit if that's what it takes. I mean, I don't know. I just think we could do, the thing with primary care is now we don't have the time to do these things and sit down with patients in a room and say, look, this is what you're doing to yourself. This is what you need to be doing. We go in, they have blood pressure, here, take a pill, out the door, and it's not really providers' faults because, we just don't have the time. And so, if there's a provider that can refer to this blog and say, hey, look and see what she has to say. She's, kind of guiding you as how to take care of yourself. That's kind of what my goal is. And as to why I'm doing it, I don't know. It's just I have all these little thoughts in my head that just have to come out.
You're inspired to do it. It may be the Lord just getting a hold of you, girl.
Honestly, I really think the Lord got me through F&P school because I worked full time with 2 kids and went to school. And so maybe, I always said, there was a reason why he did it. And maybe this is my outlet. I don't know. I really, truly believe maybe I could help at least one person. So
how much, I got to ask this, and I know you don't have all night, but and maybe we do another talk about this at some point, but how much of breaking the cycle is just a mental first little tiny baby step type thing? And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you my personal reason for asking this, but like, say you got the person that comes in, you're right, all these things stack on top of each other. The fact maybe you've gained some weight, you're not sleeping well, you're not feeling well, you got too much stress in your life, you're not eating the right way because maybe you don't have the information to know how to eat the right way, or maybe you think you've heard something this way or that way, but you've gotten bad advice, or you don't feel like anybody cares. You got all these different things stacking up on you. How do you break the cycle and get out of that hole? How much of it is here versus anything else?
It's all here, I think, pretty much. But you have to reach the place where you're so miserable with yourself that you have to make a change. Either that or something happens in your life, family-wise or other, that you realize that you're headed in that direction. It's really just a baby step. And if I can get patients to drink a glass of water every day and start drinking water instead of soda, that's a change. If I can get patients to think that they exercise. Exercise doesn't mean going to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Exercise is buying a pair of tennis shoes and putting them on and walking out in your yard for 20 minutes when you wouldn't have done it otherwise. That is the cycle. And, I have to want patients to realize too that, you're not going to look like this. Everybody's not going to look like that. Your optimal health is different from person to person to person. So, you can't be comparative to everyone around you. You have to set your optimal health goal for you. What is your optimal health goal for you? Is it that your blood pressure drops 20 points, or that you're able to drop these 20 pounds? And most people can drop 15 to 20 pounds just by stopping soft drinks. And that's huge. So, it's just tiny little steps. Even if you can't quit everything, you can't fix everything. If you just know that for yourself, for that day, for that week, that you're changing and you're drinking water, because you know that water is much more healthier. That sugar, that processed sugar, leads to inflammation in your body, and inflammation in your body causes joint pain. It can cause diabetes. It can cause it can cause arthritis. So it can cause all these problems, and sugar is directly related to that. That's a good blog post. I need to do one on inflammation. So, it's just small changes can make huge things in your life. We need to be outside more. We need to get rid of electronics. People aren't outside. I know I feel much better when I just go out and walk out in my yard just to get fresh air. So even taking 10 minutes to walk outside, resetting your mind, getting fresh air, breathing, is doing something for yourself. So,
well, that talk right there is. I'm glad you just went on and said all that. All I'll say, I don't want this to be about me. I want it to be about you and what you've done. But I will say this: so I've got a great primary care doctor. Remember Dr. Tom Meek that used to work for Blue Ridge? Well, he kind of became. He was a teacher. He taught other doctors to be doctors, but he would take the occasional patient. And when he left Blue Ridge, he went to work for the COG there in Hickory, and I decided to go with him because he knew me really well. And Tom just took a personal interest in me. He called me up to be my friend and say, "Hey Tony, here's what I think is going to happen if you don't." I checked your numbers, and so it wasn't. I'll say this: he's been kind of coaching me along, and I don't always do what he says to do, but I try to do a lot of the things he says to do because he's him, I'm me, and certain things I as a patient I feel like I have to do it my way. But one of the things he did just recently, it was the middle of July. And I'd gained some weight. I've been eating more sugar. I've been letting all those things pile up on me, like you say, stress and work, not getting out and moving much or anything. And it's hot as crap in the middle of July. You don't want to go out and run around the yard and walk and go to the track or whatever. And, it's just all you can do is mow your grass. And that's all you can stand to do. And but anyway. He said, "Why?" I told him. He said, "Are you out getting much exercise? Are you eating too much sugar?" I said, "Yeah, no doubt, I'm eating too much sugar. My A1C had gone up." I told him, I said, "I just don't feel like exercise. It's just too blame hot now." They said, "Well, why don't you try swimming?" He said, "Have you ever swam?" I said, "Yeah, I used to swim a lot." So, and I'm very fortunate in that we have a good place down here in Valdez, the rec park. You can go pay like $175 a year. And you can swim all year long there. So very few people, I guess, have that kind of advantage. But I went and I joined, and I started. And I remember I went the first day. I said, "I don't really want to go do this." I weighed 317 pounds. Go down there and swim. Felt pretty good. Tired. Went back, napped. One thing or the other. Ate a little bit. Just ate a little less that night. Cut some sugar out. Tried to eat more good foods. Next day, get up, walk the dog, go swimming again the next day. And it was a matter of just saying no to some things and saying yes to the time to go do it and trying to rework my schedule a little bit. Fast forward to now, so it's October, it's early October, October 2nd. I've lost 32 pounds. So I'm 285, which still at 6'2". That's a big guy, but I'm a former athlete. I'm kind of big, chunky anyway. But yeah, it's funny how now I've tried to really cut back on what I eat. I'm doing a little bit of intermittent fasting, which that might be something you look into or
Mm-hmm.
talk about at some point. And by that, I just mean I sometimes just skip breakfast because, that not always do I feel like I need it. And I felt like a lot of calories that I used to, maybe wasted calories, were eating sugary cereals and things like that in the morning. I like to eat,
Yeah.
even though Honey Bunches of Oats looks like it would be very healthy, it's a bunch of oats with sugar, and you pour a bunch of milk on it, and once you eat one bowl,
Or sugar.
once you eat one bowl, you kind of think, I kind of like to have a second bowl of that. And so it's been a whole lot of getting away from that kind of thing and getting back to just eating normal size meals, exercising regularly. So not only do I swim, I sort of started saying, well, I'm not lifting weights now like I used to years ago, but maybe I can. I watched these ladies doing things with noodles and little foam dumbbells and
Right.
stuff in the pool. And I said, well, they're pushing down a lot. What if I could put a snorkel on my face, lay down in the water, and push this way? It'd be like doing push-ups.
Right.
And I like to swim with a snorkel anyway because it's hard for me to turn my. I got kind of an old neck injury from football, so I had a snorkel. I'd lay down in the water, put my feet kind of on the edge of the pool, and take big old long noodles and push down with them, and do dumbbell things in the water this way while I'm face down in the water. And so the thing I'm finding out is I don't need weights really. I don't need I can go in the pool, spend about an hour, come out, feel refreshed, feel good. Now I'm feeling a lot more energy. I'm weighing less. I'm able to get out with the dog, go more places. I'm able to go hike. Maybe I'm getting ready to start maybe going hiking again. But all of it started with him just saying, get out in the pool and go swim one time. See what it feels like.
Just do it.
Just
Yeah.
one time. And so I like the fact that you're looking to help people make that baby step, just break that cycle, break that little mental block that they've got. And just that one little change will lead to a second change and a third change. And before long, you start to feel better. You start to be able to do more. You start to be able to manage all that other crap better, in your life.
Well, and I'm brutally honest with my patients, and they will tell you that. At first, I'm kind of okay, but then I get to a point where I'm brutally honest with the patients. If you don't do this, you're going to die.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you just have to tell them straight up what's going to happen. What are the consequences of you continuing to live your life like you're going, and I have the reputation, my last name's Suttle. And so they tell me that there's nothing subtle about me, that's what they tell me. And I said, yeah, that's right. But my job is not to babysit you. My job is to help you and to grow you and to encourage you and to get you out of your shell. It just takes a little baby step sometimes just to forge on. So,
well, I can see, and here again, I'm not trying to. It says my free meeting will end in 10 minutes, so we'll wrap this up. I'm getting a message. I got to upgrade my Zoom, but let me close that thing for a second. So what I will say is, I think your blog is cool. I'm going to put the link in the description. People can go there and check it out. I think you would be great to do a video to let people hear you do maybe synopses or whatever the word is to the things you're talking about. I also think you'd be good to do a live stream maybe once a week or something, or every couple of weeks, or whatever you're comfortable with. You take that baby step, and I'll help you get started with that if you like. And you got an IT professional that is a man of the law that can help you out in the house with that, and that's awesome. And I can imagine people. Say you did 30 minutes a week or something like that. I can imagine people starting to really go on there and you could answer the questions as they're coming in. You could send them to more information, which is your blog or other people. And yeah, I like it. I like it that you're doing this. I like it that you feel led to do it. Seems like you've got a calling to do it. Sounds like you're, to me, on the right track of something that's going to really help some people. I know there are a lot of other people doing it. I know that you are a cool lady that is a good communicator, and I love that you've gone and got all these credentials. Nikki goes to Sandra Willis, who is a DNP, doctor, nurse practitioner, right? And she really enjoys going to her. So you're that same sort of thing, and apart from the fact that you're not an MDDO, whatever, the one thing I would ask is the DNP. What does that deeper level, that PhD or that doctorate thing, what does that bring to what your knowledge and everything is?
It's just the research, I guess, and being able to write. That's what all really the part of the doctoral process was. And actually, the lady that was over my project was really cool because she was one of the 20 in 2020 that was over the National Institutes of Health, she was like the National Institute of Health Congress. So she actually did my doctoral project. She was in charge of my doctoral project. But I guess the big thing is that it teaches you how to research, how to do quality studies, how to source literature. It just heightens your, I don't want to say intelligence, but it heightens your way of looking at things, I guess, in the way that, you come across materials and try to put forth materials, I guess you could say. And I can teach, with a doctorate.
Yeah.
It was hard. It was very, very hard. Oh, I shed a lot of tears.
where Nikki's getting her MHA now, and it's like, man, she's going through it. It's just hard for her
Yeah.
but she's teaching at the same time. She's teaching at the community college, so she's sort of like a little professor, going to other professors I feel sorry for her, but wow, it's so hard to do that and be two things. For you being a mom, being an FNP, being Kirk's wife, and everything else, and then going and getting your doctorate. And so where'd you get your doctorate?
I went to, and it's a really great place. You need to look it up. It's Frontier Nursing University. It's in Hyden, Kentucky. It's in the middle of a coal mine, and it was started actually by a nurse who wanted to improve the health of a community that had one of the highest infant mortality rates in the country. Wow. And she actually went horseback in the 1920s and 30s to deliver babies, and they started the first midwifery school in the nation.
Wow.
And so the university is very steeped in history, and so that's where I got my master's and my DNP was Frontier.
All right. And I'm curious, so your BSN, where was that from?
Lees McRae.
Lees McRae. All right. Did you start in the community college system?
I did. I got my ADN at Western Piedmont.
Yeah.
And I was an ADN for 15 years. I didn't start going back to school until I was 35.
Yeah.
And I finished my master's at 40 and my doctorate at 41.
Wow.
Now that makes me 45.
That's all right. Yeah. I think Nikki's 46, 47. Anyway, very cool. Sonya, I just wanted to, like I say, encourage my viewers, go there and check her out. If you start a YouTube channel, we're going to come back on again, and I'm going to promote your YouTube channel, and people can come there and start watching you. I just think it would be very cool for you to do that, because I think a lot of people that might get weary of reading this much, which it's good content, but you could embed your video on that page, tell them about you could give them the overview maybe, and then they'll read the entire. That would encourage them, I think, to read the entire thing. Plus, I think they would like to interact with you. I can really see you being the kind of person that could do a vlog, maybe come on once a week, every 2 weeks, whatever, and just talk to people, and even get guests. Get other medical professionals that are like-minded or whatever that get something cool to say to people.
Yeah, I would like to do a vlog on hospice and palliative care. That would be really good.
Yeah, wow. Well, anything else you want to say to people before Microsoft cuts us off?
I just really want to appreciate you introducing me to your viewers. That means the world to me. So.
Wow. Well, you're awesome. Sonya, thanks. I'll be posting this. We're doing this on a Sunday night, October 2nd. Probably by about October 4th, it'll be live. I'll send you a link so you can put it. It might be something you want to embed on one of your pages, or maybe it's part of one of your blogs.
Okay.
So, very cool. Thank you, lady, and more to come with Sonya Suttle. And Wise. Say it again.
Well, www.wellforthewise.com.
Well for the wise, not with a four, or is it with a four? Is it well for the?
No, it's
It's
for FOR.
FOR. Spell it all out.
Yep.
And what I'll do, of course, before I put this out, I'll make sure it's on the screen there where people can see it. So,
Okay.
Sonya, thanks for talking with me, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Okay. Thanks so much, Tony.
You bet.
Bye.
Bye.